Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm Ricky Moore, Director of Hinds County EMA. We've asked you to attend this briefing concerning the chance of severe weather and possible flash flooding and provide an update regarding the likelihood of the Pearl River flooding over the next few days. First, I'd like to let Mr. John Sigmund of Pearl River Valley Water Supply address the crowd.
I'm John Sigmund. I'm the General Manager of the Pearl River Valley Water Supply District, also known as Barnett Reservoir. We had a lot of rain. As you know, there's some areas upstream that got 6, 8, maybe even 10 inches of rain. What has happened is all that's coming down the river, and it's going to be here in a day or two. The National Weather Service has predicted a peak inflow to the reservoir of 71,300 cubic feet per second. Again, that's a lot of water. Again, it's more than we had when we were here 2 weeks ago. It's a good bit more. We anticipate that peak is going to be sometime Saturday night, Sunday morning early. We're in good shape at this point. The reservoir is low. We've drawn it down again. It's down to about 295, so we've got around 3 feet of storage. As flood control lakes go, that's nothing, but as we go, that's a lot. And we used that last time to great advantage, and we plan to do that again. We will use every ounce of storage in that lake to attenuate this flood as it passes through Jackson. However, the Weather Service does predict a peak in Jackson of 35.5 feet. That's about a foot higher than 2 weeks ago. So everyone needs to prepare. Do what you need to do. Listen to the EOC when they give instructions. Monitor the news channels, monitor the Weather Service so you'll know what's going on. We will do everything possible and everything we can do, but yet there may be a point Monday or Tuesday when we get another round of storms in here that's not enough. We all have to be prepared.
My name is Marty Pope. I'm the Senior Service Hydrologist at the National Weather Service here in Jackson. In the last 48 hours, as John stated, we've had 2 to 6 plus, like you said, up to 8 inches in some places of the basin. We were very fortunate that the rainfall did not fall as heavily over the southern part of the basin, or we'd be a lot worse off than we are right now. This morning, we had a conference call between the Vicksburg Corps of Engineers, the Lower Mississippi River Forecast Center, the United States Geological Survey, and Pearl River Valley Water Supply District. And the consensus that we came up with on our crest at Jackson was 35.5 feet on this Saturday morning. This forecast is based upon rainfall through Thursday. And I'm going to let you speak now to have our Winnings Coordination Meteorologist, Felicia Bowser, speak to you regarding the latest on the weather.
Good afternoon, Felicia Bowser with the National Weather Service in Jackson, and I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist. So the first threat of concern, of course, is the heavy rainfall tonight through early Thursday morning. So 2 to 3 inches of rainfall is expected from the Cleveland to Columbus area and southward to basically the I-20 corridor. And 1 to 2 inches of rainfall is expected from just south of I-20 to Hattiesburg area. As a result of the already saturated soils from recent bouts of rainfall, this will lead to flash flooding, and you need to be careful across those poor drainage roadways where you can have water covering the road. So we do suggest to people to take heed and to take an alternate route if they do encounter any water covered roadways. The next threat of concern, however, is the expected severe weather for tomorrow afternoon into early Thursday morning. So there is a risk of severe thunderstorms tomorrow across the region, courtesy of a nearby storm system and its associated warm front. So a line of strong to severe thunderstorms will be progressing across the area from west to east and could pose a risk for mainly damaging wind gusts, but we also cannot rule out the chance for tornadoes, unfortunately. And those winds could get up, for the damaging winds, it could get up to around 60 miles per hour or so. So the storms are expected to impact the areas along and west of I-55 corridor between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. and east of I-55 between 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning Thursday morning, before finally exiting the state of Mississippi. Thereafter, dry weather will return to the area Thursday through Saturday, with the return to rain, unfortunately, as we start Sunday, the end of the weekend. There is some uncertainty, however, as to whether or not that activity will produce some severe weather, so we're still keeping an eye on that potential. However, additional bouts of rainfall, which is expected into early to midweek of next week, will resume flooding concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Now we'll hear from the City of Jackson on their preparations.
Good afternoon. Safia Omari, Chief of Staff for the City of Jackson. We would like to continue to urge citizens to take caution and prepare ahead of time if you live in a low-lying area. Stay out of floodwaters, turn around, don't drown. Do not remove any barricades that are put up. They are there for your safety. We will have sandbags available today until 5 p.m. this evening, and again tomorrow from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. at 4225 Michael Avalon Street. Please do not drive or walk in floodwaters. Floodwaters carry debris which can be contaminated with debris, harmful chemicals, rodents, biohazards, and other unsavory things. And please keep your kids and pets out of the flood water. These are some of the same advice that we gave 2 weeks ago, and we'd like to reemphasize that they are very important that they be adhered to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll take questions from everyone after everybody gets through. Now, Board Vice President Creedell Callahan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want you to know the Board of Supervisors is ready to help wherever it can. I have been talking to the reservoir people, and they have done everything possible to lower the reservoir. When I called them, they were so appreciative that the board was in agreement with what they were trying to do already. I was here in '79, and everything seemed similar to what we had in '79. So the reservoir has been doing, the reservoir people have been doing a very good job because they were here too, and they knew what the dangers were. So we just appreciate everybody doing all that they can to save lives and save property here in Hinds County. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now, we'll talk to Hinds County Sheriff Lee Lance.
I certainly don't want to be redundant, but I feel that it's very important that people understand it doesn't take much water to elevate your vehicle and sweep it away. So, especially driving at night where you may not be able to see during heavy rain, you gotta take every precaution, especially if you're traveling down a thoroughfare that you're not used to traveling down, and especially when it gets dark out in the rural areas. We did, and flash flooding means exactly that. It means flash flood. It means the water will come up really, really quickly during the storm. And I think that we underestimate the fact that vehicles that we drive can keep us on the surface. That's not necessarily so. So please take heed. It's amazing to me sometimes that we seem to have vehicles to get stuck in the same place every time we have the heavy rain. So I've always been taught during my law enforcement career is life over property. No matter where you think you gotta go, no matter what you think you have to do, please be aware this water will come up really, really quickly, and you may not have time to get your vehicle out. Your vehicle may stall in the water. I'm not a water stalling expert, and I don't think there's any around here. So you don't know how much water that your vehicle has to take before it may stall. You find yourself waist deep or worse in water, and people down trying to rescue you. So please, let's try to make it through this next water event. We've already been told to expect a foot more water than we had a couple of weeks ago, and we had water everywhere a couple of weeks ago. So let's take precautions, and let's make it through this without anybody getting hurt, God forbid, getting killed. The Hinds County Sheriff's Office stands ready to assist any way that we can, but nothing can go beyond self-preservation and being prepared not to put yourself or your family at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now we hear from MEMA Director, Mr. Greg Michelle, on the state's preparations on helping us with this potential flood.
Thanks, Ricky. As you can tell, there's been an enormous amount of coordination between all of the local and state partners in preparing for this. Unfortunately, this has become a far common event for us to gather in preparation for something like this, but the good news is there is an enormous amount of communication. Hats off to Hinds County and the Board of Supervisors for making their local proclamation of emergency. What that does is that allows my agency to provide state resources as necessary to assist Ricky Moore and everyone in Hinds County should the need arise. I want to reiterate that everyone pay attention to your weather alerts, pay attention to emergency messaging that you get from your local law enforcement, first responders, and most importantly from your emergency management, local emergency management agency here. And again, Mississippi Emergency Management Agency stands ready to support in any way that we need for the citizens of Jackson.
Thank you, sir. Like you said, we set this emergency declaration up to MEMA yesterday and got it signed. We're working closely with all stakeholders to ensure that we're ready for whatever this heavy rain event brings. One thing I'd like to reiterate, that I would like to say that I have full confidence in the Pearl River Valley Supply District in making every effort to keep this water not only off of Jackson, but everybody downstream into Rankin County. This is not just a Hinds County event, it's an event for everybody south of that reservoir. So saying that, we'll take your questions.
I believe I heard from Mr. Stigma was that the Pearl River could crest at 35 feet, a little more than 35 feet, a foot higher than we saw 2 weeks ago. How many roads of Jackson does that put at risk of going underwater?
We have a list of the roads from 33 up to 39 at the back of the room that we will give you. That's a lot of roads. That if we get to that 35.5, also we have some slides over here from the 79 flood. We're at 35.6 of the roads that it impacts at that. So to give you a general idea of what we're looking at, we provided you with a few pictures over here to see what you could have in northeast Jackson. The High Tower area and south part of the city. Byram's going to have some water. The Swinging Bridge, Rosemary Road and Terry will be inundated. We'll have to go down there tomorrow and talk to those people, make sure that they are prepared. We haven't seen this type of water, I believe, the Weather Service told me since '83, if we get to 35.5. So we're expecting everything. With the rains coming Sunday and Monday, if we don't get but 35.5, we can handle that, but next week worries me a lot. Even with 35 foot river, 34-foot river, if you remember 2 weeks ago when we had that heavy rain, we had massive flash flooding in places that's never flash flooded. That's what we could be looking at Sunday and Monday if we get heavy rains, because you don't have anywhere for water to go at 35.5.
So if people have to be evacuated, will we have shelters set up where they could go?
We don't look for any evacuations at 35.5 if it stops there. Now, when they say it's going above that, all bets are off. The city has pre-designated some shelters. The Red Cross, we've had meetings as early as the second week of January on preparations if this happens. So all that language has been, we've talked about it. So we do know we gotta have shelters. One thing I would be asking MEMA for is help to evacuate people. That will already be sent up for them probably sometime today or tomorrow. Putting that on hold in case we do need that help to evacuate that many people.
What do you say to people who refuse to leave their homes, even last time when they had water around it and down their road and they couldn't get out for a couple days? What's the best advice?
I think somebody said it up here. Heed the warning. They need to get out because it taxes our first responders when they have to go in and get people out. So listen to those warnings. If the officials say we need to get out, then by all means get out. If you get caught in this situation where you didn't, call 911 if you need rescuing. But it may take us a little longer to get you than it does for a fire truck just to drive down the street to get you, because we won't be able to get in there without use boats.
What should people be doing around their home right now? If they live near the river, they're prone to flooding, what should they be doing right now to prepare for the flooding over the weekend?
Well, first of all, we got the severe weather. So anything that the wind can pick up and throw across the yards, the debris that maybe get in the streets to clog up your storm drains. I know the city's been preaching that the last week. Don't be putting your yard clippings or leaves, pour them in the drains, pour them in the creek behind you. You're just doing nothing but adding to the problem. So if you're gonna clean up your yard, take it to the local landfill. Don't dump it somewhere that it's gonna end up clogging up a drain.
Mr. Moore, showing us these pictures and hearing some references to the Easter flood, are you saying we are at risk to seeing a possible another Easter flood, or just how bad could it get with the levels we're predicting?
Well, 79, we had a lot of rain in the basin. The difference is after that kind of rain, we got some sunshine. The rain that we got yesterday and predicted tomorrow is not gonna do this. It's gonna put the river at a dangerous level to where Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday's rain could do this. So we just gotta be ready. You know, and we're gonna look to the experts and telling us what kind of rain's coming, what they expect the river to go, what they expect the reservoir. Like I just told y'all, we have a lot of confidence in Pearl River Valley to keep this water off of people. They're doing everything they can do to keep from flooding anybody.
The 35.5 is where it's expected to be by Saturday, and that's after the rain Thursday, right? Do you
Yes.
have any idea with the rain that's coming Saturday and Monday where the river level will be at that point?
That's gonna amount, the amount of rain we get. And I'm gonna yield to the Weather Service on what they're looking at and how much capacity the reservoir is going to have after filling it up from the rains that we got yesterday and tomorrow. There's not a whole lot of room left to store any water.
Well, just based upon how much rainfall we're expecting now, it would not necessarily be a problem. But the thing is, we have noticed that systems, as you get closer into them, sometimes we've been seeing recently heavier amounts than have occurred, than early forecasts were showing. So we're gonna have to just be really watchful, and it could have a big effect if we get this kind of heavy rainfall as we've seen this time out, with a very high reservoir as well as a high river as well. We were very fortunate after the last one that the river was able to drop back down to very low levels again before we got this last rainfall. But this time, next week, we will not have that same luxury, you know, to have that. So it depends really how much rain we're gonna get next week. And like I said, right now, it doesn't look extremely heavy, but that can change very quickly when you're looking at us being like almost a week out.
And yeah, just to re-emphasize that it's gonna be dry after tomorrow, starting on Thursday. So Thursday through Saturday is when the conditions will be dry. And then it's next week. Now, computer models next week they're showing a little bit of uncertainty into how many times we'll see rain. Some are showing hit or miss, but some are showing frequent waves of rain that's gonna be coming across for next week. So as we zoom in a little bit closer to that time period, we'll be able to get a better idea of, number one, how many waves of rain we're gonna get, and number two, how heavy or not so heavy it's gonna be. Because right now, they're pretty progressive and it's moving along relatively quickly. So the concerns are, you know, it's still up there, but it's not extremely high. But again, things could change, the computer models and the data can change as well.
I have a question for the madam representing the city of Jackson. Could you re-explain and emphasize the sandbag process and what the public needs to know again when it comes to locations and times, please?
Okay, they can pick up sandbags today until 5 p.m. and tomorrow from 8 to 5 at 4225 Michael Avalon Street. And I want to say that we don't have the capacity to take sandbags to people. So you really do need to try to get to Michael Avalon if you foresee a need for a sandbag.
Now I'd like to hear from Brian Grantham from Rankin County on preparations being made on that side of the river.
Thank you, Director. My name is Brian Grantham, Rankin County Emergency Operations. Rankin County stands ready and able to assist our residents in the event that any of their houses become flooded. We do work closely with the Salvation Army and others should they require assistance. We're not expecting any issues from flooding at this time at 35.5, but we are not immune to flash flooding, which is a concern for us in Rankin County. So if you experience flash flooding while driving, we ask you turn around, call our Sheriff's Department, notify them of the road that you see could be a problem, and we'll have road crews out there as quick as possible to barricade that for your safety and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any more questions from anyone? Okay, thank y'all.